Well, welcome everybody. Hope you all had a great holidays. Happy 2018. And I've got quite a few things to talk about here today with you all. In particular, there's been a fairly sizable change and patch to Guild Wars 2 that's introduced some new current events, but also the feature you can see in the title here. Yeah, gardening. Like a full-on, pretty exhaustive, big gardening system has been added to the game, but it's associated with the gem store, so some interesting little things there. I did want to start the video and talk a little bit about the lack of stuff that's gone up on the channel for the past 2 to 3 weeks. I do want to offer a really sincere apology for that. Those who have been watching for a while, you'll know the main thing I'm doing at the moment, and particularly those who've come to the streams will know about this, is judging the large competition I hosted back when POF came out. And as with so many different projects and things I end up doing, you'd think I'd have learned by now. I've bitten off like way more than I can chew. I do want to handle it the way I originally envisioned to handle it, which is doing all the judging on my own. But judging over 300 videos and really trying to do my best by it seems to have taken a while. There's also just the fact that it was the holidays and I'm kind of in that post-holiday slump and things right now and getting back to the groove. So I do really apologize. This is obviously not intended that we have this few videos, and I've still got a lot of ideas and things we will be doing. I just need to get that competition judging done, and well, because of the fallacy of sunk costs, I suppose, I'm just sinking myself further and further into an abyssal pit of a time sink. I don't see us getting out too quick of this either, too soon. I have a wedding coming up and some other stuff on real life side which is going on, so it's all a bit disastrous right now, but bear in there with me, and hopefully things will be going as originally planned pretty soon. And that includes some other cool things I did want up for New Year's. But, yeah, blah, 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 I guess. All I really want to say is I very sincerely do desperately want you to all know I am sorry for not having enough videos, and fingers crossed we'll be back to normal soon. Let's move on. I want to talk a bit about the patch here. So the patch itself seems quite small, but a lot of it is loaded with the gardening thing. So footage in the background is going to be a bit of PvP. So you guys might not know this, but pretty much until this patch, all I've been doing in Guild Wars for the past long while when I've played the game is PvP. Like, I've been a pure solo PvPer for at least the last month now. I don't think I'm the best player in the world, but I did manage to snag top 50 on Season 9, which just closed. And I've happily been carried through a couple of wins on daily automated tournaments too, so get hyped there, guys. The footage itself isn't amazing. It's just the first 2 games I played as this patch came out. I'm on a Corondy Mirage running sword. It's a really cool build, and I really like the playstyle that it has. I'm probably not playing perfectly there. I think that in these 2 fights specifically, I'm hanging around mid far too much. You know, I should be more of a skirmishy role. But hopefully that's cool for you. And of course, also, we're going to be seeing a lot of footage of the gardening stuff. So that's what's going on there. And yeah, so let's just jump into that straight away, I suppose. So I'll introduce you to this feature, this intriguing feature, the same way that I was first introduced to it, and that's with what they say in the patch notes, which is this: a new Blackline Garden Plot Deed is available in the upgrades category of the gem store, and up to 2 can be purchased, each unlocking 4 special harvesting nodes in your home instance. Grow what you want. Each node is individually customizable and provides one of over 50 daily crops from all across Tyria, and you can ask your new home gardener for details. So yeah, to get access to this feature at all, you need to spend gems. Gems doesn't necessarily mean credit card. For a lot of people it will, but you can get gold, obviously, and turn those into gems. And you can sort of get 1 plot, or you can get double the amount of gardening access by buying 2 plots. It also seems like the devs have left a bit of space maybe to expand this in the future. I'll come back to the gem store side of it later, but let's just pretend for a second that everyone's bought it. You've all got this plot item, you've all double clicked it. What does this actually do? Okay, so if you've ever played Pokemon, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, the originals that they were based on, the way that berries work in those games is basically exactly like that. I don't know whether the other Pokemon games have got something similar. If you haven't done that, the best way for me to explain it is this. In each of our home instances, they've now added a garden. So the home instances themselves have actually changed. You can see the footage of that right now back here. And I think a lot of them look really quite impressive. So in Divinity's Reach now, there's a launch pad you can jump on, and it will fling you over to another side of the Salma district, and there's like a little, gardening plot area there, allotments, if you will, that you can hang around with. And there's a new gardening NPC that's there. In the Grove, there's a bouncing mushroom you get to go on. In Ratasum, there's just like an entirely new little area that's been added. Same for the Black Citadel. So they've done this. I think that's quite interesting to look at just on its own, that they've updated and changed the actual size of these places. It could indicate that some of those other ideas we've had for a while, like decorating in-home instances and like adding like a mount ranch and stuff to preview mounts and mount skins and things in home instances, that could all genuinely be possible. So I do like to see that they've made that change, and hey, sometimes just having a bit of change makes the game feel fresh. So within these gardens, what you can do is plant seeds into separate plots of soil. And once per day, just as all your other stuff miraculously reappears in there, so you've got gathering nodes, right, like wood or ores and watchwork sprockets and all of that, when that stuff respawns, out of those plots in the ground, also, you'll now get some new thing that you can gather. So a lot of it is just regular things you could gather in the game anyway, but you get to choose specifically what. Those of you who are really savvy might remember, earlier last year, they added a similar update to this where you could buy a contract to get the Black Lion Hunters to go out and fetch you fine materials, and you could decide whether they were going to give you blood or whether they were going to give you scales or venom sacs and so on. So it's kind of like a more enriched version of that you get to be a little bit more interactive with. So you decide what kind of seeds you want to plant in the soil, and you come back tomorrow and it will have grown and you can harvest it. Then at that point, it will replant the same seed, and you can come back tomorrow again, and you can harvest it again. Or you can find new seeds to plant into your plots, and you'll be able to get different items out the following days. So it's an extremely streamlined mechanic, where basically anything that would be fiddly or annoying about it, the devs have removed. So it's very much on rails, very much like just getting a random arbitrary mail every day, where they send you the materials. But unlike getting a random mail, there's NPCs you can speak to. There's lots of tutorial hints and tips, and there's a whole system that they've really built here. Probably most importantly and coolest thing about this is it affects open world too. So a collection has been added. That means as you're out in open world Tyria, when you gather from regular plants out there now, there's a chance you can get the seed from them, and this goes into the collection. But as you gather seeds in open world, they then unlock for planting back in your home. So there's like this quest idea where you're visiting all around Tyria to expand the number of seeds you can then use in your garden later. So when you first get access to the feature, there's a limited selection available, and that expands over time as you go out and hunt for things. So there is a little bit more to this as well for the reward, beyond just the fact that now every day you can get extra plants and things from your home instance when you go to do your gathering. And that's that there are some other new items you can get on top of it. So first of all, guaranteed dye unlocks. So hopefully we're all familiar with the guaranteed wardrobe unlocks that come from Black Lion chests now. You click it and it will give you something you don't already have. So eventually you can get recipes, you can craft these guaranteed dye unlocks. What this means is if you have every single black dye or every single grey dye in the game except one, if you craft the guaranteed grey one, it will give you the final one in the set without you having to go RNG and get a duplicate, for example. I really like this, and it's interesting because many of you won't know, a weird bit of trivia about the game is when the dye system was very first introduced, way back when, I think even before launch for Guild Wars, it was associated with a different system. Dyes, first of all, weren't account bound, they were soul bound. And the way that they worked was as you killed things in the open world, you would find seeds that you took back to your home instance and gave to an NPC in the home instance who once per day, I think it was, would take those seeds and discover what kind of dye could be made from it. So you could get a new character bound dye each day by taking seeds back to your home instance. And, well, look at this gardening feature. It's very similar to those early ideas. Don't you guys think so? I wonder if that's a nod back to that. I wonder how many players will really pick up on that. And then the other big reward as well is you can get metabolic primers, basically, and utility primers, basically. But renewably so, I guess, through gardening. Now, I've not had much time with the feature itself, so what you can see in the background is basically the extent of my understanding with it. But these seem pretty useful as well. So, yeah, great little idea. Let's talk a bit about the fact it's a gem store feature. I mean, you guys know the discussion points that are going to come up here. Question is, do we care about content as good as it is if it's locked off, not just a regular part of the game, but it's locked off behind having to spend some gems? So yes, there's the fact that you can get this for gold. Gems doesn't mean credit card, but I think that there is kind of a barrier there that people just won't like, and I'm really interested to see what you guys say down below. My main regret with this being a gem store feature is it probably means we won't get a fully fledged gardening system integrated with, say, masteries or with guild halls. If you remember my Heart of Thorns review, I talked a lot about something similar for guild halls, or there won't be, like, it won't be integrated into a crafting discipline or whatever in the future. Like, this is it. I think that's unfortunate. I do like that as far as gem store updates go, they've kind of pushed the boundaries here. If there's any kind of thing I'd like to buy on the gem store, it is something like this that's inclusive and feels quest-like and adds new NPCs and lots of stuff to interact with. I prefer that to just, you know, a recolor of a skin or the return of a Guild Wars 1 skin or something. So in terms of that, I think this is one of the better features you can put on the gem store. But I wonder as well if it's a push-pull kind of seesaw here, where if the feature is too good and is on the gem store, people will complain about that anyway. So yeah, very interested to see your response there, guys, and whether maybe seeing this in the video is going to encourage you to go actually get it. I mean, one positive here is I very rarely talk about the gem store, but if it's a full feature like this, then the devs have at least got me talking about it in my videos, right? So yes, what else came with the patch? Well, actually quite a lot. There has been the continuation of current events, or as they're now called, and I should remember to start calling them this, side stories. So hopefully you will all remember the Daybreak release has introduced the idea of Joko attacking the core Tyrian areas, but that hasn't manifested in any way. I suppose we did have a very quick, you know, the triple release came and then we went straight into Winter's Day. Winter's Day's just passed, and as it's passed, now they're paying off on that. So awakened forces have appeared in core Tyria a little bit. If you remember at Halloween, some of them were thrown around Mount Maelstrom, I think it was, where there's more specific targeted achievement-oriented stuff now where they are flooding into core Tyria areas. I believe one of the maps that they're in is Caledon Forest. You guys will know, as side stories have been added and current events have been added, I've done full dedicated videos on each of those, and I've got a playlist for that. So we'll talk in more detail about it very soon in that dedicated video. So yeah, current events are back. We have the gardening thing, and then there's just regular patch changes. This was not a balance update. I don't think people were really expecting it to be one. Maybe because I've been PvPing a lot, I've got some great ideas for balance, I think, on the PvP side that I'd like to see them do, and that was a little bit unfortunate to me. But there have been some changes. So one unlisted thing doesn't even appear in the patch notes. But they changed Kylo, the clock tower at Kylo, if you guys remember, very controversial change to that last year, where they completely altered the way it looks, I guess in an effort to make it more spectatable. Well, they've added 2 new bridges to the map in Clock Tower that have quite significantly affected the number of places you can kite around to, and sort of your lines of movement. So I wonder what the kind of better players will be thinking of that. That wasn't even in the patch notes, I don't know why, but it was something I noticed because, hey, I've been PvPing. Some other stuff, minor. Agony Resistance has its own unique icon as an attribute now in the stat panel instead of like the placeholder thing I think that it was before. Lots of Fractals changes, as always. Fractals team pulling it out of there, doing lots of things. Arc CM has basically been made easier. So what they've done is they've increased the time you can take to kill some of the mobs. And what this really does is it just opens up build diversity a bit, because it means that condition damage oriented groups are stronger at challenge mode. They've done another slew of changes to the Twilight Oasis. I won't talk about every single one, but they've basically made it quicker, a bit easier. We all know that it was a little bit too long. There's new moments where you revive, you get some new allies, you get awakened abominations who are stronger now at the start, who are your allies. Over on the raiding side of the game, some of you guys won't remember this, but there is a buff in the game called Call of the Mists, okay? I think this used to be associated with PvP stuff, but what Call of the Mists is it's a buff that is there to encourage you to play a new raid release when it comes out. It means you get heightened rewards from whatever the current newest wing is. So, you know, this encourages people to actually get in there and try it out, and, you know, hopefully get people to play a little bit of that content, even if they'd otherwise be intimidated by it. So now the game has 5 wings, right? And that's looking to increase. So what they've done to Call of the Mist is it will still affect the newest one, but also now it rotates through the old wings as well on a bi-weekly basis. So all of this is to say that they're a bit like how Guild Wars 1 had special weekends that would give you extra alliance battles, faction, or it would give you extra gladiator points or whatever. Now what there is every 2 weeks a little bit more incentive to go to one of those specific older wings, and it's just going to rotate through those. And if you I think this is a great idea, because if you imagine in maybe a year from now, if the devs have put out significantly more wings, we all know that there were less wings than we would have hoped in 2017. Recent Ask Me Anythings have suggested that they are trying to ramp that up. Let's just not be cynical for a second and assume they will get quite a few wings out. Imagine that by this time, 365 days in the future, there are now 10 wings. Call of the Mists rotating through the old ones is going to be great, because it's going to be that extra bit of incentive and encouragement for like flimsy statics to say, okay, let's play this wing instead this week. Let's play this one. Let's play this one, and keep their gameplay varied instead of just continuously spamming, say, wing 4, because that's the one they're best at, or that's the easiest one, and just doing that over and over and over every week. Maybe now you want to just follow Call of the Mists around, and that varies up your gameplay, which I think is good. So there's that. Some other small changes. PvP health bars are easier to see now. They've been added over as floating above people's heads. That could be UI bloat in some people's opinion. So there's an option to disable it. Perhaps you're not playing a support firebrand and you don't care, so you can disable it. And that's pretty much it, to be honest with you guys. That's most of the changes. They're also offering a free Blackline chest and a free Blackline key for the full week that's just gone out. So if you're going to go buy your gardening stuff, you can get those for free. And they've just changed a ton of the Blackline chest stuff as well. But as you all know, that's not really stuff I'm too interested in. But there you go. So that's it. Current events will come very soon, as well as several other updates. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Do get down in the comments and tell me what you think about this gardening thing as a gem store feature and some of these other changes. I'd love to hear it, especially because there's been so few videos lately. I'm kind of craving those comments. I'm craving that attention. So that would be kind of nice if you could give it all to me. So thanks very much, everyone. I will see you as shortly as I possibly can.